We're live, evidently. Matt D'Amico, Shane plays stacks in the live streams. So normally this is a podcast that I also do on YouTube, but this is a live stream, which I haven't done in quite a while. I have to turn down my audio on the YouTube. On the YouTubes that I'm using to monitor this to make sure that it's going out correctly on YouTube. So my guest for this live stream is Matt D'Amico of, is it Cranky Clydesdale Publishing, and we're going to be talking about an RPG product that is in crowdfunding right now. It's already funded. Congratulations, if I understand correctly. But we of course want to bring more visibility to it, and there's still 20-something days left. So Matt reached out. I know Matt through North Texas RPG Con. I'm rocking my North Texas. I bought this thing. This is the 2024, and I guess I got double extra large. This thing is swallowing me up. It's like a dress. If you can see this thing is like a dress. But I'm rocking my North Texas RPG Con, which is where Matt and I know each other from. And Matt reached out and said, "Hey man, could you have me on the show?" And I said, "I'd be glad to, but I don't have time to record a show, edit it, and then get it out in time to help your crowdfunding." So, I said, you know what? Even though it's December, I just happen to have a night open. So, it's usually a busy time of year, and it is this year, but I happen to have tonight open. But let's do a live stream. I haven't done a live stream in forever. So here we are. So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Cranky Clydesdale Publishing.
Okay. So started writing adventures a couple years ago. My first adventure was Massacre Grounds, which is a Weird Frontiers adventure. I started writing, honestly, in the early 80s when I was about 10 years old. I enjoyed playing D&D like a lot of us did growing up. It was fairly new then. We didn't have adventures that you could go buy. There was a few adventures that would come out, just kind of trickled out. And as so we'd get bored playing and then we'd make our own adventures. So I had done it before and I had continued to play into adulthood with some stops, from, the original BX to AD&D to, on up through Pathfinder, and enjoyed playing pretty much my whole life. And then I had gotten invited to playing Greg Gillespie's Dragon Slayer test play. And I met Greg and really enjoyed all the group of guys that he played with. And through Greg, I met David Beatty. David is a firefighter. I'm a retired police officer. We hit it off. He writes Weird Frontiers. I was looking I have a Western background. I think that. I spent a lot of my life on a horse. Still do. Been doing that since I was a kid too. So I post a lot of pictures from horseback and just spent my whole life kind of going camping on horses, doing fun stuff. So when David was talking about needing people to write Western adventures, I'm like, well, I could do that. And
I just did a major no. Sorry, I moved my camera.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, okay. It's
sorry about that.
Did I move mine?
Yeah. So
it's an earthquake.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So got with David, said, hey, would you, kind of threw him out an idea. I live in Arizona, home of the coyotes and scorpions and cactus, and there's death around every corner. So you come live here and then you realize it's just as modernized as every place else, except it's really, really hot. But yeah, we grew up in the Superstition Mountains, riding horses all over the place. So yeah, when after he gave me the go ahead, I did two things. One, I made a character class that revolved around somebody riding a giant kitty, because I knew David would be super into it. And then
a giant kitty, like a cat, like a battle cat.
Yeah, exactly what it is. It's a battle cat. So it's a mountain lion. Because we have mountain lions all over Superstitions. And then, I just tried to stick with what I knew. I kind of, walked through an adventure. But then, of course, in my life, we don't have zombies and, man-eating cactus and all that stuff. And I've always had a wild imagination. So I had a lot of fun with it. and I turned in the adventure to him and then to DCC, to Goodman Games rather, in like a couple weeks. And they were like, "What's this?" And I go, "Well, it's the adventure." And they go, "You're kidding." And I go, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it not good?" And they were like, "No, but most people talk about it and then do it for 6 months, a year, and then get back to us." And I go, "Well."
Right.
And so, yeah, I just started doing it. I had to go get an editor and kind of did it the opposite way. I didn't do any groundwork or anything else. I just kind of attacked it. And I was lucky enough. People were supportive. North Texas crew has been fantastic to me. So that is, I'm going to give them their props. I don't have one of their shirts. I always forget to order them. But yeah, they were great to me. I went and promoted it there, promoted it locally, got that one done, and then have done a couple of Shadow Dark and DCC
Nice.
In my own setting with mail. So had a really successful port mirror. And then we did a couple of add-ons that there's a couple other adventures here. So yeah, just having a little fun with it. Still very new, still learning the ropes. Enjoy it. So it.
Cool. So a couple of things I wanted to kind of dig back into before we get. I went ahead and pulled up. You might be able to see on the screen your Backerkit for Xcrawl Rodeo, Hell on Hooves. So one, you said you basically been playing RPG since the early 80s. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, did you start with D&D or how did you get into it all?
Yeah, so I got into D&D. I moved to Arizona when I was into 5th grade. It was super hot. It was May. The summer was hitting. School was already out. We didn't have a chance to really make any friends. And so my mom had read about the Dungeons and Dragons Club at the Tempe Public Library. And so she, threw me through the door and said, "You got 4 hours. I'll pick you up in 4 hours." And
that's like the Bizarro universe version of how most people were having to hide it from their mom.
No,
your mom chucked you in there.
Yeah, my mom, it was funny because they were really worried about Dungeons and Dragons and for a little bit. And then they saw that it made me creative. I used to draw my own characters. They knew I was doing math and I struggled with reading as a kid. So they were like, "Okay, what's the bad point?" And it's funny because I should bring the article and bring it out because I still have it saved. But we were actually in the newspaper at the library when, the satanic panic was going on.
Right.
And they did a kind of a ambush piece on us. They took our picture behind the game screen and set us all up. And, my parents were like, "Oh, this will be a night." They interviewed us and then he ambushed us and did this, hack piece.
Satanic panic.
Yeah. And we were just, but
satanic rituals at the local library.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I still, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I still do my satanic rituals every, chance I get. So I'm good.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I was there for the satanic panic. I had to hide my stuff from my mom. Now, some RPGs she was okay with, but if it was D&D, forget it, So, and then I had a friend that his mom was cool with Lord of the Rings, so we were playing MERP. But then she's like, "Isn't that the same thing as D&D?" But Villains, Vigilantes, and Traveler and other stuff was never a problem, but D&D was. This is all I'll say about the Satanic. I'm not defending the Satanic Panic. It got way out of control. There was a lot of hysteria and this and that. All I'll say is if you're in the 80s and you're like normal middle-class parents, and all of a sudden you're handed this book that has demons and naked succubi in it and everything, you can kind of see them going, because everyone's like, they were a bunch of idiots. It's like, well, let's, it got overblown, but I could see the genesis of it, right? If you look through that early art, which of course we loved, we're like, this is the best thing ever. But if you're middle class, Leave It to Beaver America, and all of a sudden, you get handed this book showing all this stuff, I can kind of see why they first reacted like that. Now, where I can't defend them is once they dug into it and still were convinced that somehow it was teaching you to, cast spells and all this evil stuff. But yeah, it was also mixed up a lot of people forgot that heavy metal got mixed up to this too. They were like, the backwards masking and suicide solution and all the, it was all mixed up. It wasn't just D&D, but D&D was definitely one of the major, and it didn't help. Like you watched the D&D cartoon, right? And they had the spaceship that said 666 on the tail. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't help, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help is all I'm saying. So anyway,
who was the music you played back? Like if you played the record backward, it had like a message. I can't remember that. There were a bunch of the band that I was just like, yeah.
There were several that they would play they would literally put the record on the record player and run it backwards. And if you listen just right, it did sound like it was saying something. But, even the musicians said, like, there's no way, maybe you could do it now with software and AI and this and that and the other. But back then, there's no way that you could come up with stuff to sing forwards so that it would, and then sing it in just the right way so that it would sound, I mean, it would take a lot of effort is what I'm saying.
Or you were actually a demon.
Yeah. Or you were a demon.
Yeah. Or if you were a demon, you could do it.
Yeah. You could do it if you're a demon. Totally. So, but yeah, I remember listening to that stuff. Like, my friends were like, this is so cool. Look. And they were like, playing stuff backwards and all of this stuff. And some of it did sound like, I was like, okay, I can kind of hear that. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, that's a big tangent. So you played in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So D&D was your entry into RPGs because your mom flung you into the library and said, go dice with devils. Yep. And then that led to such a horrific lifestyle of being a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
So completely breaking the law and chaotic and carnage. Yeah.
Oh, there's lawful, back then there was lawful good. So, we didn't just have lawful, and neutral and chaos. Now we actually had lawful good.
Yeah. So, you had the multi-vector.
Yeah. And we got paladins later on. So I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm doing.
So here's an interesting discussion. If you've never had it, you may have, since you played D&D and you're also a police officer. I, for one, am glad that the police are out there. And for the most part, I think they're good. But in reality, like enforcing the laws is really more of a lawful neutral thing, right? Because laws aren't always, what's lawful isn't always what's moral. You know what I'm saying? It usually is. Yeah. So you could argue that the police as a whole are lawful neutral, like we're enforcing the laws of the land, but I like cops. I'm glad they're out there. In fact, one of my favorite, do you ever watch On Patrol Live?
I haven't watched cop shows. Like, believe it or not, if you go back in the 90s, you'll see this very young me with hair. I kind of had a do. Right. And you'll see me on Cops.
You were on Cops?
Yeah.
Fun.
We chased a guy down to the Tempe that had gotten into a shooting with an officer. I think that was the one. And I can't remember the actual, it's been years and years. And so they filmed with us and I walked up and I wasn't the main guy. I was like one of the peripheral officers walking up.
That's still cool though, man. Good for
you. They used to film with us. They used to come out and crew, but they would never let me. When I was younger, I used to call a spade, and I was a cop in the 90s. So that was acceptable. But they weren't going to let me. They weren't, the powers that be didn't think I was going to be PC enough to ride with me in a patrol car.
Camera. And by spade, we don't mean spade in the sense. We have to, these days you have to clarify, man. Somebody's going to come after you with a pitchfork. Spade means you call it like it is, like you see it. Okay. There's no deeper meaning.
There's no deeper meaning there at all.
Yeah, there's no deeper meaning there. You got to be careful these days, man. People are like,
absolutely.
They'll come try to cancel you. So On Patrol Live is it's on. I watch it on Peacock. I think it's on the Reels channel, but they hook up about it's every Friday night and Saturday night, and it's live. And they hook up about 9 different police departments with camera crews. and then they just, as stuff develops, they just switch to all these different police departments. All the way, California. They got one in Arkansas about 30 minutes up the road here. They have them in Florida, just all over the place, Vegas, whatever. It's fascinating because you never know what's going to happen. And they'll be like, oh, we're getting a pursuit, and they'll cut to that one. And then they'll cut to the police officer dealing with the amusing drunken person, right? Because there's always the amusing drunken person. You never know. Or it might be like a SWAT team surrounding a house. But, I have a lot of respect for police. You never know. They never know what they're going to have to deal with when they stop somebody or knock on the door or whatever. And it is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. And then I'll move on because I know we're here to talk about RPG stuff. It is mind-blowing to me how many of these routine traffic stops end up somebody in the car has a warrant, or there's drugs or guns or a combination of all three.
That's because they're always wearing somebody else's pants.
Yeah, right. No, it's not mine. It's in your pants. I don't know where that came from. But it's mind-boggling. They'll be like, oh, that guy, he's got a tail light out, or they, they did a weird turn or something. And they'll just, and a lot of times they're just like, we're just going to talk to them real quick, not looking to give a ticket, just let them know what's going on. And then somebody inside the car is acting nervous, and it's like watching clowns come out of a car at the circus. Drugs, guns, dude, it's just crazy. But anyway, all right, moving on.
That's a totally different show. You can have that show if you want. You get me telling war stories, especially we'll do that in North Texas. Do
you and Eric Tinkar ever swap stories?
Yeah, when Eric and I. So Eric, well, like I said, we're totally getting off topic. Eric worked out of the 4-1, and my dad worked out of the 4-1, but different errors. And so, like, when I heard Eric was retired on my PD. And then I got to talk to him, and he worked out of the 4-1, and then my dad worked out of the 4-1. So I thought that was super cool. So that is cool. So Eric, and I sit and chat. But when we'll have a glass of bourbon and sit and we can
tell
swap
some great stories. So Eric Tinkar, people, if you don't know who that is, it's Tinkar's Tavern. He has his own series of podcasts, really, and I think live streams and stuff like that, dealing with RPGs and RPG adjacent topics. But he was a New York Police Department beat cop. I mean, he can tell some stories. So anyway, all right, moving on. So you played D&D in the 80s. It's kind of stayed part of your life. And now you mentioned how recently you're doing some writing and this and that and the other. Obviously, your product that we're going to talk about right now in this stream is an Xcrawl classic, which is Dungeon Crawl Classics, Xcrawl, Goodman Games. But I did want to, you mentioned you did a little bit of writing for Shadow Dark. I just wanted to say, I hear nothing but praise for that game. And I finally played it at the most recent North Texas RPG Con. Steve Winter ran it. I was very impressed. I see why Shadow Dark gets the love that it does. It's just a great system, great game. So, I could. So if people out there haven't checked it out, I'd recommend you do so. I would also give a shout out to Dungeon Crawl Classics if you've never played it. It's a love letter to old school gaming, retro gaming, that old feel, but it's got its own system. It's not just a retro clone or anything like that. I've got that book. They also did this whole Jack Vance Dying Earth product so I've got that. And I was even like, the first time I played it, I was like, why are the dice different? I don't understand. Is this a gimmick? But it's actually kind of baked in to it makes sense. So instead of keeping up with all these plus or negative modifiers, you have a dice chain. You go up and down the dice chain and the type of dice you use. So just wanted to give a shout out to both.
And if some dice is good, more dice is better. So
Yeah.
you get to have more shiny rocks to throw. So I mean, that's not a
Right.
bad thing. No, both systems
Right.
you mentioned are spectacular. DCC, when you're a new person trying to get out there, they were just fabulous to me. They said yes. Shadow Dark has an open license. I got to play it with Ramsey Williams at Longview. I don't know if you've ever been to Long Con.
I'd love to
con.
get to Longview. It almost sounds like a cousin convention to North Texas. Yeah, it sounds great.
So got to play Shadow Dark there. And I was sitting with Ramsey runs a wonderful game. I've told this story a few times, but he was running the game, and I really saw what he did was exploding dice on his roll. And he kind of has modified his Shadow Dark system to his GM style. So I love when people do that. And when people are excited about putting stuff out there, he was running a Tom Wilson adventure, and I was playing it, and then he was using exploded dice, and it played so similar to DCC that I was like, wow, this is different, but kind of the same. So then that gave me the idea is like, I won't just write this for DCC. I'm going to try to do with mail, port mirror, to do it in both, because I think I could do a good job representing both, because they're both very minimal bonuses. The only thing really hugely different on DCC's part is they have exploding, like it swings big when you get magic and stuff involved. So that there's a lot of crit tables, a lot of different tables that you can use, and that's the main difference between that and Shadow Dark. But Shadow Dark can be very minimal bonuses, but then when
Shadow Dark for the most part uses advantage and disadvantages.
Yeah,
or advantage and disadvantage, right? So to handle
it's not. So, I mean, when I started doing it, I was like, okay, this kind of works. So I really enjoy both systems. I enjoy playing both systems. I really enjoy the carousing mechanics of Shadow Dark. And I've actually brought it into my DCC games, because when the Gnome Airship lands, so Journey of the Gnome Airship was an add-on adventure. I think people really liked it. That was kind of, for our backers that did a great job. I added it to our last Kickstarter. And so they got 3 small adventures, and one was Journey of the Gnome Airship. And I needed, what are they going to do when they land the ship for the night? So I kind of made carousing a thing for DCC, and I think it worked really well. I think people got into it. It takes a little bit of pressure off the judge in the game, because they don't have to think, okay, so I have to have a little side quest here. And, if it's on an airship and they stop 6 different places, you got to have a side quest set up each place. So the carousing is a little break, I guess, for the judge or the GM. So I really like their systems. I could go on and on about how good they are. Xcrawl is another system that I think Brendan LaSalle did a phenomenal job with.
So tell me, I'm not super versed. I know that Xcrawl is related to Dungeon Crawl, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, but what is Xcrawl? Help me understand what.
Okay, so Xcrawl is if you and I were kids and we started playing D&D in the 80s, and they said, you know what, guys, instead of the Satanic Panic, we're going to videotape this. We're going to make this live. We're going to set it up in an arena. We're going to have lights. We're going to have cameras. We're going to film it like American Gladiators. And you guys are going to be personalities. We're going to have sponsorships. Modern times, they have cell phones, there's selfies, there's corporate involvement. They have spectators. So if you took the dungeon and made the walls clear, and people could look in and see what was going on, but when you're in there, the dungeon, you're playing to the crowd. The only thing different is that the rooms are pre-done, but same as obviously we've been pre-doing rooms for ages. The secret behind the GM. But
is it using DCC rules? Is it a subset of the DCC
rules? The only thing different that Brendan really has in the Xcrawl is magic is a little bit limited. So DCC has huge swings in magic. Like if you roll right, you do a nat 20 on a roll, you can just blow up a game. And it's kind of fun, but it's not very fun when you've put a lot of work in it sometimes as a judge, and you're like, oh, this guy's just going to trounce this. But so Xcrawl, he's limited some of the magic, limited some of the healing, and made it like a modern era American Gladiators. It's super fun.
Fun.
With the right group of people, it's it's just a wild, fun.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
So is it?
Go ahead.
Is it like American Gladiators where like they're hoping somebody will win, or is it like The Running Man where everybody's rooting for people to die? Like what? Or is it a blend somewhere between the two?
Well, yeah, because they have. So I would say that you're hoping that the people win, but I mean your DJ, which is the GM or the judge, DJ. So they're doing what they can to make this a very challenging thing. But yeah, your spectators, I think, would be half and half in the crowd. Like in Xcrawl Rodeo, I'll pump my game a little bit.
But it's not like dystopian where like you're like you have to like you have to survive to even live, right?
No, no, it's not.
Right.
It's not. Not mock. What was that? I was going to say Mockingjay, but that was the character.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Hunger
about.
Games.
Yeah,
it's not Hunger Games.
So it's just dungeon crawls as mass entertainment.
Yeah, and then so it's done in a society that's way modernized, has a lot of rules. It's kind of a little bit more of like cartels and guilds and stuff like that is running the world. And it's got its own flavor to it. And when I first read it, I was like, I'm not sure. And then Brendan has been fabulous. He reached out to me, and we talked, and man, he gave me the full, scoop on it. I really enjoyed it. I read it from cover to cover. I think it's extremely well done. And then we were talking about bringing. I think we talked about this before. I'm a huge baseball fan, so I made a baseball RPG, and that was originally what I first wrote, was a baseball RPG, and it is my opus. It's 50 something pages of baseball without baseball rules, and I was just like, this is just awesome. Here, boom. And for 9 people that want to play baseball, it is fabulous. I don't think that it would ever sell, but then they were like, you need to talk to Brendan, because he does Xcrawl. And so he's like, you could bring this into Xcrawl. And I was like, what is Xcrawl? Explain that to me. Right. And he did. And I was just like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then he came to Tucson. I think he might be from Tucson or whatever, but he invited me down to Tucson to a con they have there, RingCon. And I met him and I played in some of his games, and his energy is so great. And I was just like, okay, I really like this. So when, so they were doing Crawl for the Cure. So they raised money for cancer. And so they asked me to be one of the guest authors, and they said, hey, you can just do a room. And I really wanted to do a baseball thing but it's really hard to explain baseball in a very short amount of time if you don't know the rules. Like, it's like, if somebody knows the rules, they can pick up and play baseball in 2 seconds. But if you don't know the rules, it's pages and pages it's a book of rules. So he's like, that's not going to work for a room. I'm like, all right. I was like, what would work? And then I don't know how I came.
I guess when you say room, does that mean an adventure in Xcrawl?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by? Okay.
So that's their specifics was like, they want you to design one room. So they didn't want it to be huge. They wanted it to be a couple pages in length, and they wanted it to be run like if you were in a dungeon and you went into this room, you could all take care of it in that one room. It's their parameters on it. So I wrote Xcrawl Rodeo, and I wrote a barrel racing event, because I thought, okay, let's just do something different and have some fun with this. But in the barrel, and you actually see the video graphic or up there, is right. I put the barrels change. So I said, well, the barrels have to be mimics, because that would make it super cool, and they'd have to attack you. And then I love horses, and I definitely love to ride them, but it wouldn't be fun to ride an axebeak or a giant warthog or a giant tortoise or a centipede or a velociraptor. And so it got wilder and wilder from there, and I just had a lot of fun with it. I got my artist, Joey Docile, involved. He had so much fun. We were goofing around, and it kind of came together quick, because when you were having fun playing it and developing it, I was just like, okay, so now how do we make this work? and we talked about dice rolls. And I don't remember whose show it was on, but the old Chasing 8, we used to use it to resolve when you were chasing somebody down in AD&D. It was like you rolled like 4 8s compared, and they would get another 8, and whoever rolled all their 8s first, you caught up with them. It was called Chasing 8s, I think, or something. But I was like, when I originally wrote it, I was like, well, this will work really well. And so I wrote it all, and you know what? We play tested it, and it completely tanked. And
really?
I play test all my stuff, so I'm like, I know, like when I put it out there, it works. Or I at least try. I'm not saying I'm fallible, but Bert Isla is my editor. I have my guys test my stuff, and I'm like, tell them break it. So we did that. It didn't work at all because I didn't realize if you don't roll an 8 and you sit there and roll 20 times in a row and don't get one, you're like, oh, this really sucks. And it's embarrassing after a while when people are watching, you just can't roll. So it was just, so we kept changing the mechanics on it, and we got there. I think we did a really good job. But yeah, I just, so I had a lot of fun with it. I combined, you stay with things and I know horses and rodeo, and I grew up around it. I didn't ever rodeoed, but we grew up doing JC's rodeos, helping out, working the chutes and the pens and stuff. So it was like, okay, I know this stuff. I know a bunch of girls that barrel race. Some great women that are involved with the sport, that train horses. So I'm like, I asked them some questions, and then it just got wild. There's, of course, in normal barrel racing, there is not combat. Nothing is trying to eat you.
Right.
But I think it was a fun time. And so we did the one room.
Wait. So the clowns in the rodeo don't try to eat you?
The clowns will try to kill you, but not eat you. I mean, come on. They're clowns. They're not like carnivorous clowns. I mean, would be cool. Maybe
they're not cannibals. Come on.
I mean, come on. They're just so
they're just clowns.
The rodeo clowns. Yeah. The rodeo clowns. So it's a D3 roll. When you get in trouble and you need help, so you get attacked, the rodeo, your teammates from the side, if you choose to play it that way, can help you. But they can't come into the arena. They can help you with range stuff or, spells or whatever. And the clowns will come out to save you, but you do a D3, and that's the amount of rounds it takes for them to decide to get out there. And when they get out there, there's some rolls to figure out how they're going to act and what they're going to do. So they might help you real quick. They might not. One of the stretch goals is David Beatty is writing a rodeo clown class. So you can actually play that class, which I think is super cool. I'm excited about that if we get to the stretch goal on that. It's kind of, I hate to use the word gonzo because it's very controlled, and obviously your DJ is going to be the one running the game. But
right,
do you remember the game Blood Bowl?
I do. Yeah.
Have you ever played it?
Man, it's been a long time, but yes.
So there was a lot of. I always loved that style of gaming where you have a lot of mitigating factors. So the terrain, the field, the weather. The crowd, because you brought up the crowd. I'm like, yeah, the crowd's rooting for you. I'm like, not in Xcrawl Rodeo. Sometimes the crowd, because in Xcrawl, one of the things is you play to the crowd. So when you play to the crowd, it's all rolls. And if you tank, you don't get any bonuses. But if you do well, you can get bonuses. And so I was just like, well, if you tank, there should be some consequences. And drunk cowboys like to tell you how they feel. So I made it, I had some fun rolls in there. We also, have a house band that plays, because if you've ever been to a true like National Finals rodeo, there's heavy metal playing, there's country playing, there's, a little bit of everything. And it's just like a rock show meets, an athletic event meets carnage. Because, especially when they get out on the bulls, it's like this, you have a several $1,000-pound animal like trying to throw you. So I'm like, this is Xcrawl. This is completely Xcrawl. So I got excited about it, started writing it, made notes, and then tested it. And I think we've got a good this is a game, honestly, as people play it more, I'm interested to see what else they come up with on it. Because it's one of those deals where it has a lot of possibilities to have a lot of fun. It's a game where you're going to play when you want to just relax and you want to just have some combat, play against each other, kind of screw each other over. I call it screw your neighbor, because you can play in adversarial mode, which is the most fun for me. But you can play in, you can make little, behind the scenes pacts and say, I'll help you, you help me. But other times you're not allowed to attack the other player while they're riding, but you can, make the ground fall out from under them. You can, kick the mimic, and all of a sudden now he's live and he's going after the rider. You can do all kinds of stuff to hamper him.
The mimic,
but it's not only the mimic. So each, so we have, there's 3 different sets of barrels that you can roll. So we have a mimic, or actually I think there's more than that. But just a couple of, so each one of the events has different creatures you can roll, and the creatures are just as much of a star. So the mimics have names and they go after you. We have goblins that hide in barrels, clowns that hide in barrels. We have a barrel golem that comes out. So each one of these is
barrel golem.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's we had a lot of fun with this, and it was just like, okay, let's keep going. Bert and Joey were kind of my right hand. Just, okay, what are we going to do now? And, when we got into it, like Shane, that one right there with the Thunder Beast. Oh, okay, we can talk about any of these.
Yeah.
So the Thunder Beast, which is 2 up. Yeah, stop right there. So that's a Thunder Beast. So Joey did a great job with that. The one gal is riding an axe beak. The other guy's riding a warthog. This really shows how, and what they're doing is team roping. So 3 players have to work together, and they have to rope this giant Thunder Beast. And if you remember Thunder Beast, it blows toxic fumes. It will attack you. But if you don't rope it up and take it out of play, yeah, it's going to attack you and you're going to fight. So it's a lot of fun. And then it's designed to play about 3rd level is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But you can play anything. We played 0 level characters in it. They don't last very long.
So you could use it for a DCC funnel.
You could.
0 level characters.
Well, it's funny because we were talking about that because people were like, what level it is? I need to know what level it is. I'm like, think about Rodeo. You got the top guy that's going to win, but you got some guy that's just starting out. And it's like, so he might be the 1st level guy that rows really well and wins.
Trying to make the name for themselves. So let's look at the actual adventure itself, room, if you will, the module. So it's on Backerkit. I put in the notes for this live stream. So on YouTube, the notes or whatever related to the video should have it. The link to Backerkit, but you can search for Xcrawl Rodeo. Hell on Hooves. So there's 22 days left. Today is December 9th. See, basically, is that December 31st? Trying to think.
Yeah, it should be that. So, it's going out Christmas Eve, or I'm sorry, New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. So you got till New Year's Eve to back this. It ends on December 31st at 8 p.m. Central, right? So going through here, you got to get kind of the sample of the artwork. There's a video. You tagged the video at the top, not tagged the video, but embedded a video at the top, which is actually an hour-long live stream, not a live stream, but a play.
Yeah. So what we did was we previewed. So in Rodeo, there's events. So you can count the events as like each adventure, or at least I don't know how to say this. So a combat or an interaction. So there's 9 events that we've written already. If we get if we meet some of our stretch goals, we met our first one, and Jim Myers is doing a Buckaroo class, so a new player class. So there might be some other events that are added on. I know that John Watson has a rugby rodeo thing kind of going. Like I said, David's doing the rodeo clown. There will be Brendan Goinger is doing. It'll have a feel or a setting to it where you can play rodeo on a ship. it sounded really cool. I'm going to butcher it when I try to say it out loud, but he's like, it's just like far out and just weird. Like if you were doing it in space and like he was doing all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, go for it. It's just crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
And then Luau Lu is involved too. He will be taking some of his creatures from unnatural selections or be making new creatures. I don't know what he's decided, and bringing them into the rodeo. So
Nice.
It's just but yeah, you'll have at least 9 different encounters. That's the word I was looking for. And then you have side quests. Brendan gave me permission to use Crawl Vegas, an old Pathfinder adventure that was Xcrawl, and he gave me permission to use the dungeon. So this takes place in Las Vegas, and that's where the National Finals Rodeo is. This is not the National Finals Rodeo. I do not have permission to use that. But I thought it's cool to have it in Vegas. And then I'm like, cool. Then you get set on side quests into the dungeon to go grab something. So it's a recreated for DCC Xcrawl. You have that option in there. There's also interactions with the crowd, interactions with the vendors, interactions with sponsors. It's a really big, meaty book that is probably going to be added to as we go. It's not like I wouldn't say it's a setting, because it's not like you're going to play this every day. It's not going to be an ongoing campaign, but if you want to sit down for a night or 2 nights and play, I think it's a really fun.
Yeah,
just kick back and do something different. It was really designed to play at cons.
That's fixed to say. It sounds like a perfect con game. So yeah. So this is the kind of game that I like to play at cons. It's like I'm probably not going to get a chance to play it with my regular group, or or not as soon as I want to, or whatever. So yeah, this is exactly the kind of game I like to play at cons, and to not only for that, but to expose myself to something new. I always like to at cons, I go out of my way to try to play games I've never played before. So you've made, I'll kind of start wrapping us up here. You've got till the 31st of this year, 2025, to back this. It is funded. You've already crossed your first stretch goal. Jim Myers of Xcrawl fame is going to write that class you were talking about. Now, is that the Buckaroo or is that the Rodeo Clown?
That's the Buckaroo.
That's the Buckaroo. Okay. At 4,000, you get a deck of cards with Xcrawl Rodeo All-Stars, art and statistics, etc. At 5,000, 6,000 stretch goal levels, there's more contributors coming in, and you mentioned David Beatty. He'd be at 6,000, and at 7,000, I love this, the genuine Xcrawl Rodeo belt buckle. I love that so much. So that I just love that. And at 8,000, you have a mystery level, which is really neat. I think
I spoiled who the mystery level is, because he's the only one that's not listed there. But we won't. Don't.
Yeah, and then this is fulfilled through Drive-Thru RPG. Probably anybody who's interested in RPGs at this point is familiar with them. So
partially, depending on what level you pick. So we have fill box level, and I thought, remember, when you got Moldova or BX box set and had all this cool stuff in there. So if you get in the box set level, each time we go up, we add stuff to the box for the that level, and so one of the things going into that box will be a belt buckle. So if you bought the box will be filled with stuff, and I will mail it to you. If you do the print on demand option, which is the cheaper option, I guess, you will fulfill through Drive-Thru. It depends on what level you're back at. But yeah, Drive-Thru has been, it's kind of an industry standard. We haven't had too much trouble. I mean, people are like, I didn't get my book. I'm like, I sent it.
Right.
I'm like, no problem.
This, it's like, yeah, I mean, doing it through Drive-Thru RPG, that sounds like a great way to do it. you know, because if they get a print version, now I'm not talking about the box, but if they do a print version, then Drive-Thru RPG is doing the printing and mailing, right? Or it's a PDF or whatever. So that sounds like a great way to do it to me. Now, just looking at some of the access levels or pledge levels, you can get in on this for as little as $13. You know, and that's, I mean, a comic book these days can cost $4 or $5. So, you know, even if, as Matt said, it's like, oh, you know, you play it for a couple of nights and have fun with it. You got your money's worth right there. Plus you've got some rules that you can port over into your other games. You know, if you want to have a Thunder Beast roping, you know, just skin it. It's not a Thunder Beast, something else, but now we know how to rope it. And there's several other encounters like you talked about if you look at the page. Now, what level is the box? I don't see the box in here.
Go back up. So it is the $60 level, all around cowboy, and physical book, battle cap, mojo points, sticker sheets. Yeah. So basically, we're going to fill the box. It's not a box set; it's a fill the box. So it means I'm going to fill up a box with all these cool stuff. You'll have all the stretch goals in there, and I'm going to mail it to you. And then, just read through each level. The top level, obviously, I always offer a game with me, which I honestly, I don't make a lot of money off that, but it's super fun. I really just did a lot of joy. Like the last time, I was super grateful. The guys actually flew out to Arizona, and I played.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, we're staying in Surprise, which is about an hour away from me," and so they were like, "Do you mind just running the game in person?" I was like, "Heck yeah!" And that's cool. I just drove down and took me about an hour to get over there. They bought me dinner and I ran the game and super cool time.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's a fun, the hobby that we do. I mean, people are really always generally.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, it's almost like it's almost like a cliche at this point. Everyone talks about how North Texas is a family reunion, but that's what it feels like.
I mean, it's just the hobby we have. You meet a lot of nice people, and a lot of people that are extremely grateful, and it's just like a big family. And you start to.
I meet an order of magnitude more nice people than I do people that I don't want to be around. Right. I mean, so many more nice people, right? Everyone talks about everyone's angry these days and people are terrible and but I mean, that's not the experience when I go to game conventions. So,
it's a good escape. Like you can, and North Texas really promotes that. It's like whatever your politics are, check them at the door. When you roll in there,
we're here to have fun. Yeah.
You're a warrior, you're a wizard, you're whatever you want to be. You're a spaceman.
Yeah. I've never had a direct bad. Now I've been at tables where it's like, I don't, this person has just to be nice and interesting play style, but I've never had a direct
interesting play style.
Yeah. I never had a direct bad, experience or whatever. So anyway, well, so it's Xcrawl Rodeo, Hell on Hooves. Check out the link in the video description. It's there. I'm interested in learning more about Xcrawl. In general, that's very interesting. So this is one of the reasons why I like to do my show and whatever. I always tend to learn something. So that sounds like a great way to spend an RPG session, is doing something like that, where it's like it's half dungeon crawl and half WWE. You're trying to get the crowd on your side and you're trying to be crazy. So that sounds like too much fun. Well, I appreciate your time, Matt. Like I said, I'm glad that. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that maybe we can get you on down the road on an actual episode of the podcast. But I'm glad you've already funded, and I hope that hope you hit a couple more of your stretch goals there. I did want to say that going to Arizona, I think Arizona is beautiful, man. We drove through there. We flew in to Phoenix and drove up to the Grand Canyon, rented a car and drove up to the Grand. It beautiful, and we stayed at Sedona, as part of the trip. And I love that kind of countryside, or I don't even know what you call it. It's just beautiful.
The Red Rocks.
yeah, the Stark. You know, I thought the cactuses were beautiful. I love all the pictures that you share of horseback riding. I'm very jealous. Have you ever gotten to bump into Zach or Jennifer Glazer?
Not so. I see them all the time when I go to North Texas, obviously, and
Right.
then Zach and I were both at LongCon together. But I've never actually. I bumped into them in Arizona at a couple of cons. At a
right.
So I'm going to give them their prop. Crit Hit Arizona, great little small con that runs the 4th of July weekend. You need to give them their props. They run a really nice thing at the hotel, you know, locally. So Jen and Zach, I met them there. They're extremely nice people. I
love the Glazers. So I just know that they're Arizonians. Is that the right?
Yeah, I guess. So sometimes they call us Zonies, but I don't know if that's really.
No, I've never heard that.
I'm just like,
I've never heard that. I'm from Arkansas, and I always I say I'm an Arkanoid, but it's supposed to be Arkansan, but I'm an Arkanoid.
Arkansan.
So.
Yeah. No, it's a great place to live. And when I think I told you this when I found out you were here, I was like, oh man, I mean, stop. I'll hey, next time you're coming through, I mean,
I would love to come ride a horse, man.
Yeah,
so
I've got.
I would love that.
I'll do my best to get you out there. So it's if nothing else, I'll take you to some places that are maybe a little more off the beaten path. And
I mean, those pictures you share are beautiful, man. So I keep trying to get my family, like, I want to go horseback riding. I want that to be a thing that we do as a family, but I haven't. And in Arkansas, there's a lot of horse. I mean, there's places you can go horseback ride, but I just haven't made that happen yet. My son and I have gone horseback riding, and he enjoyed it through like a scouting event. But not just going out and getting, you know.
So I did cavalcade at Philmont with my troop. And that was kind of, we had a bunch of boys that were aging out. So we did cavalcades. We did 10 days across the top of New Mexico. Alongside of Philmont on horseback. I did that growing up, so it was a real honor for me to do it with Grant, my middle son.
Oh, that's amazing.
He was an Eagle Scout, and just had a blast with that. I love scouting. I'm still limited involvement still with the program, and I'll probably get into it more when
I did a little bit in high school, and like 8th grade in high school, mainly because my friends were into it. So I did it for 2 or 3 years, enjoyed it. It was fun going camping. But now we do, there's an organization called Trail Life. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's
absolutely
very similar, you know, it's very similar type of activities and focus and all that. So, yeah, we do Trail Life. I'm involved with the Trail Life troop.
Fun.
So, but
as long as the boys are getting outdoors and having a good time, that's what matters.
Yeah, no, it's good. So anyway, all right, dude. Well, I appreciate it. You know, like I said, good luck. Keep me posted on your future stuff. And maybe, like I said, maybe we can get you on the quote unquote regular show. So and hopefully this will get a little bit more visibility on what you're doing. So
get going again. We zoomed to our stretch goal, and then it's just kind of died. And I realized Christmas is upon us.
Do they still do so I used to help a lot of people with crowdfunding. I was never the direct crowdfunder, but I would help them or be very closely involved with them. And it used to be a U shape, right? Let me see, where like you started strong, then it dipped. Then towards the end, it would go back up. And then they said it was more like a hockey stick where you started up, then you went down, and then you right at the end kind of, and I'm not even, it looks terrible if anyone's watching my video, me trying to explain this with my finger. What is it now? Like, what do you see? Like, what's the trend line?
When we started out, we hit our stretch goal and just a little bit past first stretch goal, a little bit past 48 hours. And then these last few days, it's really just died. And I know people, this is why we did a longer thing, because I didn't want people to sacrifice, like buy this or buy somebody a Christmas present. Go buy yourself a Christmas present. Maybe after Christmas, when you have a little bit more money, maybe you got a gift card, then come buy a
what I was thinking, in fact, I meant to mention this could be a Christmas gift for a gamer, right?
Oh, big time would be.
just say, hey, it'll ship in February, but I bought you this, and look, it's coming. So, it doesn't have to be a either or. It could be a both and. You could buy an RPG thing and make it for Christmas. So, all right, man. Any final words before I have to do it?
Nope.
I always do the bad joke of the week. I don't know if you've listened to the show before, but I do a bad
I'm waiting
joke
for this.
Yeah. So let's see. This one is a little bit tricky, and I've told a variation of this joke before. But anyway, what's a pirate's favorite letter?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
R.
Good guess, but no, the she.
Okay.
It's tricky because everyone expects to say R, right? So I wish I had some jokes for horses. I'm looking through my list of bad jokes right here to see if I could find another one. This one, a communist joke isn't funny unless everyone gets it.
Yeah, no, certain jokes that are best just told amongst friends, and it's just you never know who's not going to have sense. You don't really.
Here we go. This is the most rodeo adjacent bad joke that I have. If a cowboy is happy in his work, does that make him a jolly rancher?
Oh boy.
Was that bad? Did you feel some pain? See, I got
a little sick in my stomach there.
There we go. Okay, because I can't stop until there's a little bit of whoa.
Yeah, I've been screaming whoa like I was trying to stop you at full gallop there.
Whoa, buddy. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else that well, I guess this kind of, are there mountains does Arizona have mountains?
Yeah. It's funny because you drove through it. I mean, you saw it.
But this seemed like hills.
When we in Arizona, we have, so Phoenix area they call it the Valley of the Sun because it's in a valley. So it's surrounded by mountains. And so it's a bowl. And that's why we have some problems with pollution, is because it doesn't clear out of the bowl. But once within an hour drive, you are up into pine trees. People don't realize the different topography of Arizona. It's gorgeous. We have, the Grand Canyon. We have, if you want snow, we have snow. We have, if you want Death Valley, we have Yuma with just sand. That's where Return of the Jedi was filmed. We've got a little bit of everything. We do not.
I didn't know that. I thought that was filmed in some African
Yuma
country or something. I know they filmed Tatooine, and originally they were over in Tunisia or something like that, I think.
Yeah, so it was partially filmed in Yuma and the surrounding dunes area, which is California. But yeah, Arizona's got just
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. We have some mountains, Mount Humphreys and Flagstaff. You've got, it's not Mount Everest or anything, but we've got mountains, we've got hills. It's not just flat and desert. It's a really neat place. Come visit. Unfortunately, a lot of the areas just getting bought up and built on. We've just had a ton of people come. When I grew up, we got on a horse and you could ride out from where we lived, and now you can't do that anymore. It's just there's cars and freeways and this and that. So the rural kind of feel that we had to Arizona has just gone away, and it's just people moving in track homes and stuff like that. So, but you still, once you get out of the cities, you can still see the desert.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
You'll just, and you get 15 miles back on horseback and nobody's around. So that's kind of wonderful.
Well, we speaking of things that live up to the hype, I was talking about when I first started talking about it, I feel that Shadow Dark lived up to the hype. The Grand Canyon is one of the very few things in the world that absolutely lived up to the hype. Usually they're like, go see this or go see that. And you're like, okay, I've seen it. I've been to the Louvre and I've seen the Mona Lisa and I've seen the various landmarks around the planet, the visiting and tourism and this and that. But I got to the Grand Canyon and I said, this is mind boggling. I cannot put into words, what it was like to look out over the Grand Canyon. That lives up to the hype, man. Grand Canyon, crazy.
When you're here, also go to Karchner Caverns when you're here.
Yeah.
Again, so that's down by Tombstone and the kind of the other side of the state. But if you get a chance and you're driving through Arizona, go to Karchner Caverns. It's underground caverns. They're just absolutely magnificent.
Mind-blogging.
Yeah.
So when you drive through Tombstone, do you roll down the window and yell out, "I'm your Huckleberry"? Do you do that? Because I would.
I want to ride a horse up to the middle of town, and I know you can do it. And we've talked about
the slow clop clop, the clop clop,
yep.
clop clop clop. Yeah, Oh, that's great, man. But I'm waiting for one time in my life when it's the perfect time to say, "I'm your Huckleberry." I'm waiting. I'm going to deliver it.
You realize my oldest son is named Morgan after Morgan Earp, right?
Oh, really? That's great. Yeah.
My middle son is named Grant after Ulysses S. And my youngest is named Reed John, and John Reed was the Lone Ranger. So
look at that. Yeah.
So
I know where your legs are.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So yeah, Morgan. When we went to Tombstone to visit, it was real cool. But we want to plan a horseback trip down there, and then just ride up in the middle of town, tie off, and ride have a drink, and
have your chaps on, and open up the double thing and go on in, and it stops for a second while everybody looks at you. Yeah.
There's cool music.
Yeah, and then everyone's sizing you up. I love Tombstone. Great movie, one of my favorite movies. You gotta love it. But the Wyatt Earp movie they made at the same time is much more, I think, accurate to the history of things. So, and I like that movie a lot too. It's a completely different kind of movie,
right?
But it was also a good movie.
Absolutely.
But
it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, when he stands down that group at the end, and I just get chills thinking about. Or when he nailed the dude with the pool ball. He's like, I've just had enough of you. I don't even need a gun. And that Wyatt Earp was like a force to be reckoned with. He's like, I'm here to hold the law, and I'm not messing around. So, but he wasn't flamboyant or anything like that.
No.
So I recommend both movies. So, all right, man, I gotta wrap this up. Matt, thanks so much. Look forward to talking to you again in the future. I'm going to end the stream. Everybody else will catch you next time on Shane Plays in some form or fashion, whether it's the podcast or a live stream or maybe even a touring live show. I'll do it. I'll tour like a Broadway show
from horseback.
From horseback. That's right. And the name of the show is I'm Your Huckleberry. I'll be your Huckleberry. That's right. So, all right, I'm ending the stream. Folks, go check out Xcrawl Rodeo, Hell on Hooves. All right, ending stream.